Hey, welcome everybody to the Top Livestock Chan Foreman Benefit Auction, organized by the New Green Country Invitational Kiko Sale. Tonight we're going to go over the lots and got a great review panel for you in store. Uh, I'm beginning to enjoy these. I hope you guys are too. Look forward to all the comments the guys have on the bucks that we have in the sale. Just a little bit about the sale. It's a standard format for us. It's a timed online. Uh, when it ends at 6 p.m., if there's extended bidding, it keeps extending 10 minutes for every bid that's received after the extend period. Uh, if you are the lucky winner of a lot, you will get an invoice at the end of the sale with all your purchases. Uh, Miss Page will be available via email for if you got any questions. If you want to get set up for ACHA, so that she can debit your account directly and avoid credit cards. That's your choice. Just reach out to Paige. She'll do that for you. Um, also, you can pay via credit card. So once all those lots have been paid for and Paige has reconciled the sale, she will send you an email and the consigner an email letting you know that it's okay to do the transfer. And then I haven't talked to Bill about this, but we'll let Bill know what funds were raised for Chan, and we may come back on here and let you guys know what you collectively done. I'm in awe. I put that on the post with all the consigners and the number of lots and the quality of the lots that were donated here. I think it's just awesome as a Kiko group to see that action go into place. We don't like having to do these type of things, but when we do, it's really rewarding to see the positive outcome. And we saw that with Josh Lappin, a positive turn there in his life. And I think it really helped. And Cooper Sherrill was instrumental in making that happy. So, with that said, I'm going to let Bill tell you guys a little bit, and then we'll get looking at the catalog.
Well, for those who are wanting to know more about the benefit auction and Chan and her family, a lot of people they know Chan Foreman. We've seen her a lot at Cookeville. Of course, she's been in the Oklahoma sales. She's from Arkansas, so it's pretty close to here. Um, for those that don't know, she is part of the Kiko family. She's had Kikos for several years. She and her husband Nate's been working hard to raise the Kikos. They own Wild Mulberry Farms in Mulberry, Arkansas. This year, she has a guest slot in the new Green Country Invitational, and she was at Cookeville last year. She'll be at Cookeville again this year. And they're also working hard to get their herd, seeing what their herd's like. They've entered in buck test in the past, and they're going to again this year. I believe they're going to West Virginia, and I'm not sure what other tests, but I'm sure I know that she said West Virginia. What this is for? She found out that she had a nodule on her throat. Found it in November when she was going through her pregnancy. Had a brand new baby. Her and her husband, they've not been married very long. And then she finally was able to get someone to do a biopsy on it, and come to find out it was cancerous. So I'm going to try to say this name. Don't. I'm from Oklahoma. Don't kick me if I say it wrong. But after they'd found the lump, she had a total thyroidectomy with lymph node removal. I'm a goat farmer, not a doctor, but major throat surgery with a lot of lymph nodes removed, also in her chest area. The doctors they have a positive outcome on this. They're not sure that they got everything. She's still going to have chemo and a lot of radiation going on. She's got missing work, doctor's appointments, all this while trying to raise a new baby and still run the farm and still go to work. She's an LPN at a hospital there in Arkansas. So that's why we, being one of the consigners for the NGCI, being part of the Kiko family, that's why we wanted to do this benefit auction. We appreciate everyone that's supporting it.
Okay, great. Thanks, Bill. Um, Definitely, I'm sure she have a lot of people praying for her and praying for a great outcome here. So, Our review panel this evening is Mr. Kendall Barnes from the great state of Kentucky, Mr. Cooper Sherrill from Mountain, Oklahoma, Cowboy Kiko's, Kendall's Chai View Kiko's, Bill Stony Creek from Stony Creek Heritage Kiko's, and myself, Andy Roller, with Warriors Path and Top Livestock. So that's who you got tonight. You guys ready to roll?
Yep.
Ready?
All right.
Yes, sir.
Ready. All right. So here we go. Lot 1 is a new Green Country Invitational hat. One hat will be given away, not to the lucky winner who bids the highest. So bid often. Looking at it, I like its posture. Looks like it's got a good straight bill on it. It's got great fleshing on the sides, loins. I'd say it looks like it's got a good ribeye across the top. I don't think you can go wrong here adding that cap to your program. What do you think, Kendall? All right. So that's lot 1, guys. Lot 2 is MCR Street Smart. It's 2 straws stored at Bonanza. I'll let Bill talk about this buck. He's a little bit familiar with it.
It's to him, and then his bucks aren't too shabby either. One of the things that I would like to bring up that a lot of people don't know, since he's an MCR Street Smart, he's actually the flush mate brother to SSK Blue Eagle and also SSK Blues Ironman. So, any other questions or something I can tell you about him?
Cooper, we had a little bit of our audio issue, so missed the first part of that, Bill, but we'll let Cooper talk about him if he wants to say something there on Street Smart.
Yeah, Street Spark's a buck that I really like. I've seen him in person when we collected him, and also at Bill's farm. I've got a daughter of him that just had her first set of kids a couple of weeks ago. All around, I think he's a great buck. That D18 in Sky Lily on the bottom side, that Lily doe is really, really nice. And like Bill said, his flush mates are all producing really good kids as well. So I've already got one. I'd some more. So bid with confidence.
Agree, Kendall? You good?
I mean, Blue Sun over Iron Horse. Like Cooper said about that Lily doe, she's pretty strong maternal doe. Just looking at the pictures of him, he's very fleshy, good big bone, and looks like he's got good top line. So it looks pretty meaty to me.
Yep, and Blue Sun over Iron Horse has worked, and it looked like it worked here again. So 2 straws stored at Bonanza. That's lot 2, MCR Street Smart. Going to lot 3. Lot 3 is 2 straws of TBR Uno. These 2 straws are stored at Smart Reproduction in Jonesboro, Arkansas. Uno was the number 1 on fecal, being the most parasite-resistant buck in the 2015 Maryland buck test. Only one of only 2 bucks to achieve the golden standard for parasite resistance. He was number 6 overall there. I think he's pretty well known for parasites. Bill, you want to talk about this guy?
You know, I'm going to pass this one on to Kendall and Cooper. I don't know a whole lot about him. I know that. Well, actually, I don't. I'm passing it on this one.
Kendall, what about his test record and parasite resistance?
That's what I'm pretty sure he's the same breeding as. I was trying to look it up on the database.
I
Um,
think his I think his mama is a full sister, but not the same doe to resist all. If that's what you're thinking,
I was looking up.
I think.
I do have the
But
social.
a really nice buck. I've seen kids out of him that were born on several different farms. I like what I've seen out of him. Really do.
I mean, Browser done well. Offspring has done well on Maryland. When you had Resist Doll and Bug Free and Uno, and I think there was another one, Charlais or something like that. So the parasite resistance is strong in this built kind of way. I like goats, like short to the ground and deep and wide. Looks like he's broke his horn, but that ain't gonna affect his kids.
No.
Okay. One moment here. I'm making a fix so we don't have any more audio issues. So that was lot 3, TBR Bruno. Uno, I'm sorry. So going to lot 4. That's 2 straws of CVK Ryback, stored at Bull Nanza. He's a son of Lynn 8 over AVG June. We'll have to talk about June. Not a lot of people know about her. He's known for his thickness as well, most of the offspring. He sired a number 2 buck in the 2017 West Virginia buck test. And like his parents, he has thrown some exceptional females. I'll chime in here. I've got a Ryback daughter here. I really, really like her. She has great maternals. She holds up well when she's kidding. Good pasterns, hooves. She's a worker. I have some of these myself because I liked it so well. So, Kendall, you want to talk about Ryback a little bit?
Yeah, he is one of those bucks that just made me change. You know, just like his mother, she was short and thick made, and he kind of made me start chasing a different phenotype. Kind of where it all started was him and his mother. His daughter seemed to follow June as far as maternals, and bag dries up good and tight after everything's said and done. Um, just a solid built buck, very meaty. You'll get some color out of him if that's what you're interested in. Uh, he's done good on tests. I've just got a few daughters still left, and then lots of granddaughters and great grands in the herd.
Anybody else?
Super good buck. I don't think you can go wrong putting it in any doe on your farm.
Agree. We'll catch up here a little bit where I was working on a little bit of audio. Will Chapman said on lot 1 for the hat, he said it will fit Kendall's huge head. So on MCR Street Smart, Joseph Allen Miles, he said he's seen this buck, really nice. Seen quite a few times, so we're catching up. And I'm going to put this on there because if it happens, that way you guys know that we're working on it. Dana put this, and I don't think you caught that in the green room. We were chatting. Bill's got some weather out there, so we're hoping that he stays with us and audio and everything holds up. So a little bit of housekeeping there for that. Moving on to lot number 5. It's 2 straws of JMI Kraken stored at SEK. or in the consignor's personal tank, which would be Joseph. They can bring them to NGCI, Cookville, MPI, or BPI out of their personal tank if you want. Kraken was the first JMI goat and its foundation buck for Joseph. He performed well on 2017 Eastern Oklahoma buck test, ending in an average fecal of 147. In 2019, his son impaled her placed second in the Parasite Challenge at Langston, and he has a few straws of Kraken and had no intention to letting any go, but he's wanting to help out here during this tough time for Chan. So, Bill, you got anything to say on his pedigree or him there?
I've actually seen Kraken 2 or 3 times. He's a medium-sized buck, but I'll tell you what, that joker is tough. And when you get a hold of him, and I had the opportunity to help Joe catch him once, you better have a plan when you get a hold of him. Now, unfortunately, this buck has passed away, so this will probably be the only opportunity for straws. But I also have a Kraken daughter, and when I first got her, I bought her as a doeling. She's like 7 months old, 8 months old. And I didn't know. I wanted to try her out. She looked good. She's young. She's smaller. But I'll tell you what, over winter, and if any of y'all been out to my farm and you see how the goat, they've got to want to live if they're here. That joker came out of the winter as a yearling. We had to weigh her off, and she weighed at like 116 pounds, and this is the second time we've kidded. She had twins this year. Last year, her bag dried up nice and tight. Don't have to do any maintenance with her, which is a good thing because you can't catch her. Just super doe. And now she's like 120 pounds. We weighed her when we did our CDT and when we did all of our biosecurity testing. But so super good doe.
Looking at the pedigree, we just talked about Iron Horse over Blue Sun, and this is an Iron Horse grandson over, looks like a Blue Sun on the bottom side, exclusively blue. So definitely should be a good opportunity here.
I recently,
if I remember
got
right,
a few Kraken daughters too.
if I remember right, that Sheridan's Aloha I think she lasted a really daggum long time. For Joseph, and I'll just echo what Bill said just about the toughness of that Kraken line. I don't think you could kill him with a hammer. Or his kids, sounds like.
Yeah. Hardiness here is what I'm hearing.
Very.
Yep. Great. Moving on to lot 6. We have 2 straws of Web 8's Moon Java stored at B&D Genetics. Moon Java is a Lin 8. We just looked at Lin 8 son that back there a minute ago in Ryback, and it looks like it's got that Hammers Mountain 07 over RC's daughter on the bottom side of MJI Luna. I'm not familiar with his offspring. Kendall, you know much about him?
I know a little bit about the Siren Dam, but not a whole lot about him. That dam side's heavy bred Lightning. Well, somebody Waco on paper, but his nickname was Lightning. And I had that doe here for a while. She's a very wide chested doe, deep, big bone. And then they put a Lin 8 over, and he's Lin 8's a pretty good buck, pretty solid built buck. So I believe these straws will be pretty good addition to the tank. A doe, I don't know how long she lived at Weber's, but she was the older doe when he acquired her. So I believe that Lin 8 cross was out of a flush that he had done.
You know, me just
On
looking at
on his bottom side, those Hammers Mountain does. I mean, I know about a bunch of them that people really, really like. Hammers Mountain Daughters. So that would be that would be what you get here on this bottom side. And then like Kendall said about Lin 8, and we just talked about Ryback, that's the same deal on the top side there. So I'm not familiar with the buck itself or his offspring, but I am familiar with the stuff on the top and bottom. And the buck himself has a good shape. Looks like he's probably a yearling in that picture. So, as we all know, it's hard for a yearling to look good. They get hit that growth spurt, and most of the time they're awfully ugly. But this one's not.
Yep, that's sometimes they get wonky during that time. And looking at him, what I was going to say sticks out is his bone on his front leg. He's got some good bone there and thickness in his chest. So moving on to lot number 7. Lot number 7 is 2 straws of JDR Romeo, stored at B&D Genetics. Again, here we have a son of Lin 8 and a KMG W10. And I'm going to get some education on that from Kendall, hopefully. KM10 was one of the most successful Romeo is one of the most successful performance sires in the breed. He sired a top 7 overall buck in 13 in Maryland buck test and a top 8 ADG in the 14 Maryland top 10 FRC. What was FRC? What test was that? I don't know. But yeah, he's got a bunch of placements here. Romeo was definitely a really good performance sire. So 2 straws stored at B&G Genetics.
This buck Romeo stood at, well, he was born and he died at Jared's farm. So and he was he was, I think, 10 or 11 years old when he died. So Jared used him his entire life, and like you said, he did extremely well in Maryland. Maryland was a very, very hard, test back then on the parasite side of things. And that W doe, well, it's, that W10, Jared always called her W. She lived. She was probably 10 or 11 years old when she died. So there's a lot of longevity in this pedigree and a lot of performance. I've seen a lot. I've seen Romeo several times. Seen W several times. A lot of offspring out of both of these, and they were, very. The does were always very feminine and had good udders. And the bucks I've seen, the buck test tells you that was very, very hardy and performed well on pasture. And that's what the Kiko breed needs more of, pasture hardiness.
Stability. Cooper?
I don't have nothing to add that Kendall didn't already say.
Gotcha. Bill, you good?
I'm good.
Okay. Take a moment here and catch up. I'll just throw these up here. Back on Moon Java, Corey's helping us here. Moon Java was a flush mate to Moonshine that Jim and Angie Lou's owned. So flush mate there, buck that Jim and Angie had in their program. So tidbit there. Moving on to lot 8. Lot 8 is 2 straws of Eve Rebel Outlaw stored at Bonanza, SEK, and Flying Cow. From his sire and maternal grandsire to the rest of the powerhouse pedigree, Rebel's lineage is made up of buck test winners. His kids are easy fleshing, balanced, and add spring of rib that it was lacking, all without loss of performance in our experience. He has the perfect sire to put pounds across the scale and also make daughters you'll be excited to retain. Again, 2 straws of Eve Rebel Outlaw stored at Bonanza, SEK, and Flying Cow. Picture there, Rebel at 2.5. He goes back to Uno, who we talked about just a little while ago, if I remember correctly, over Sundance Kid, and Sundance Kid was known for having some rather large offspring.
I actually saw this buck when I went to Amy Vandehuy's let's see, it wasn't last year, the year before. He was young, but even then he was his pretty thick, pretty wide, straight backed. This picture makes him look pretty tall. Of course, he's a lot older now. He wasn't, he's young buck when I saw him, but he's one of those that I'd say Kendall would like, where he was just short and stocky and kind of what you'd look for in a buck. Looked like he had a pretty sound foundation, pretty hardy buck.
I see Uno when I look at him for sure. Kendall, anything? Good.
I don't know a whole lot about him, but just looking at the pedigree, got some outlaw on the bottom. He was, outlaw was tested very well out in Oklahoma, and then top side. I'm sure they may have tested Sundance Kid offspring, but
Yeah,
kind of sticks out the Uno and the outlaw to me. Should perform well, I would think.
I've seen the buck, and I've seen kids out of him, and when you look at him out in the pasture, he's a buck that really grabs your eye, especially for the amount of muscle that he carries. Um, and another thing I really like about him, he's really good on his feet. Um, just all around, he's a nice buck. Um, Performance tested genetics, top and bottom. Uh, I wouldn't be afraid to use him whatsoever.
Okay. Moving on to the next item. That's lot 9. Lot 9 is 2 straws of TMK Blue Samson stored at Bull Nanza.
I think that's the first time I've seen a picture of him.
And all the ones I've put online, that I think it's the first time I think I'm seeing him too.
He just there's something about him that just I don't know grabs you. Looks like he's extremely long bodied, got a solid neck and front end on him.
I know that this is a buck that JD wished that he hadn't of go so young because he ended up with a bunch of daughters out of him, and as they aged, he's like, "Dadgummit, this is a buck I should have kept." I've got straws out of this buck that I'm planning on using. Um, After talking to JD about it, he's just really, really good at making daughters. Um, he still has several of those daughters in his herd, and I hope to have some in mine too.
He's a good looking buck, that's for sure.
Yeah, and to
Yeah,
your point, generally when you stretch them out like that, you don't keep the chest on the front. And looking at this bust with the length between his shoulders, he just goes up from there, and you see the strength in the chest. Good looking buck.
you got
Lot,
the sports cat over in Blue Sun on that bottom side, and then
yeah.
Blue Sun again on top. Pretty cool pedigree.
And the Sky Zhang though she was pretty prolific. I know there's some really good stuff come out of her. All right, lot 10. Lot 10 is SHR Bonafide. This is 2 straws of Bonafide stored at Bull Nanza. A picture of a young Bonafide there. Curtis Brazil Split Hoof Ranch. Got Woody G, which is that Ramblin' Blue F05, and TMK 108, and then Boaz on the bottom. Have at it.
Yep. Woody's produced a lot, produced very well for Curtis, and I guess now he's down in Texas. And I think he had a test winner for Curtis. And then Boaz he's just one of those short, stocky built bucks that catches my eye. Good looking pedigree young buck that looked pretty good in those pictures. I haven't seen any older pictures of him, so I don't know how he grew out, but strong pedigree, and he had to look as a young buck anyway.
Agree. Okay, moving on. Going into lot 11 here. Lot 11 is two straws of GHK Pirate King. Those two straws are stored at Bonanza. Oh yeah, the panel just got better. The review here, I got to show everybody this. The review panel just got better. Look at this guy. Look at this guy. Yeah, he's
I'm
on
glad he looks
TV.
like his mama.
Yeah. All righty. I'm glad you brought him in there, Cooper. Thank you. Okay. GHK Pirate King. And Cooper, I've heard you talk about this buck, I think, once before. Could you help me now? Did you before? Or did I remember incorrectly?
No, I have, and I've got several daughters, and I've got some granddaughters of Pirate King in my herd. Um, to me, one thing that I really like about it is that it's an easy outcross to everything I got. That's not everybody's case, but that's one thing that I really like about it on that. But the does have just been extremely good mothers, good bags on them, and it's. I'm sure that it'd be a good outcross for a lot of people. Um, so look at the does at home that you're wanting to maybe put a straw in, and if it works outcross wise, then it's definitely something that I would try. The Pirate King stuff is that I've been around really really good mamas.
Yeah, and I just looking at the pedigree, that TW65 and TW63 that QFK Mr. Patel had goes back to the Oreo doe that Dad had, and she lived super long and had a really great bag. Was a great mother. We got the last living doe out of her right now, and we plan on keeping her. So yeah, that's a really good mothering side on the bottom, I think.
Got a classic cross
Well,
on the
Pirate
top.
King
Go ahead, Bill.
Yeah.
Pirate King himself, he had he lived. He was long. I don't remember how old he was. Wayne will kick me in the shins if I tell you wrong, but I want to say he was 10, 11 years old. He had longevity on him, and he was. I've seen him in person before he passed, and he passed just of natural causes. He didn't pass because of parasites or anything. Wayne didn't have to ever touch this buck, which was a good thing. I don't know if you've ever been around Wayne stuff, but he doesn't have tame animals, and Pirate King was no different. But he still has a lot of Pirate King daughters, and of course, they're getting age, but they've still got great bags on them, great feet, good maternals. Um, I don't think anyone go wrong if they added this Pirate King straws to their tank and put it in the herd.
Kendall, was you going to say something?
Yeah, the sire is Nick over Glory, and that buck I'm pretty sure was like a high selling buck at the one of the ECR production sales. Might have been I think there's might have been the second one. I can't remember. Might have been the first one, but that flush was a
You're
very
correct.
successful flush. Um, but that was when I first started going to sales, and there were several of those Nick Gloria offspring in those sales, and almost everyone brought over 1,000, probably over 2,000 if I remember right. I believe that buck sold for 3. So pretty neat seeing that stuff still.
Yeah, it's out there. And Bill, to your point, I don't know if you can see on the screen, but Wayne Sims was listening, and he chimed in on Facebook and said he was 11.
I thought he was up there.
Yeah, that's pretty old for a buck. moving on, lot 12. Lot 12 is 2 straws of GHK high voltage stored at Bonanza. High voltage is a generator sun over a Waco 139 Lightning's Lady, which is out of CCR money bag. Kendall, anybody? I'm not hanging. I've had some generator stuff, sons and daughters. Generally, you get some frame and size with that, a little bit of length on whatever you cross it with.
That money bag's dough. I talked to Rubel when I first got in it, and Rubel took a tissue sample on both Lightning and money bags to clone them if he ever decided to. And he told me the reason why he chose money bags was because she was the most consistent cross with Lightning, even though she hadn't had any buck test winners or anything like that. But she was always the number up there in the like top three of his production animals every year. So bottom side's pretty strong. I seen the R06 at Dave and Linda's before she passed. She's a very big, solid two-tone doe. She's like a two-tone brown. I had a son of hers back in the day. Maternals is real strong in that line.
Okay.
Joseph Miles was talking to me today on the phone. He still has a high voltage daughter that she had twins again this year, and he just sings praises about her. And if y'all ever know how Joseph raised goats, they've got to be tough to be out at his place, and he's never had to do anything with her. He thinks that she's a real strong doe.
Yeah, he was listening and said pretty much what you said. He had a daughter of high voltage, produced number 2 parasite challenge buck in the 19 Langston. So there you go. I'm sorry. Yeah, that was Joseph. Said that. We're going to move on to lot 13. Lot 13 is 2 straws of GHK Blackhawk stored at Bonanza. Blackhawk is a Cherokee Fiddler son over a QFK Lady Blackbird. Again, there's I'll pull the pedigree here for you. I was looking at the side, but I was just talking about Tay W63 and 65, and they bred both those does of Tay 007 and was in the QFK herd. Great mothering abilities there, and with Fiddler, you generally get some size on that. GFK's
Blackhawk actually, he lived at my place for the last few months of his life. He was a moderate sized buck. He was around 220, but real meaty joker. Nice wide black feet, so no maintenance there. And then he met an untimely death at my farm, but I got him collected. And having said that, I AI'd last year and I flushed with him, or I AI'd the year before. I flushed with him this last fall. I've got kids on the grounds from both of those projects, and I'm really liking the way his does are turning out. And he had a son this year. I only had does last year, but big, thick, meaty kids. The doe last year is actually one of my highest indexing does is when I weaned them off. So I'm pretty excited to put her in the breeding program this year. But Blackhawk, definitely, he can make some kids.
Yeah, I'll echo what Bill says there. I'm a big fan of this buck, and I think that Lady Blackbird doe. I don't know how many people understand just how nice of a doe she was. And then you put the Fiddler on the top side of this, and I'm a big fan of this buck and his genetics and the type of kids that he throws, because I've got some at home. I don't think you can go wrong here.
I got some semen on him myself in the tank because he just looked like my type of buck. So I figured I'd get him in a tank and use him over some of our does.
Well, when Cooper and Kylie came out to the farm last fall, and I took them out to at the time as the weaning pasture. Those doelings were, I don't know, 6 months old, 7 months old, and Kylie pointed. I had 44 of them out there, and Kylie pointed, "Who's that?" So I had to fight her to keep her from taking that doe home. You remember,
Yeah,
don't
she
you,
was
Cooper?
really
That
nice.
big white doe.
Yes, I do. Extremely nice doe. Extremely nice.
Okay, lot 14. Lot 14 is 2 straws of RDH Isaiah's Pale Rider, stored at Multi-Gen in Kentucky. Pale Rider is GHK Isaiah's Fire son, who's out of Iron Horse and over a Rojo Grande daughter. Aberhasher Farms there. I had a Aberhasher Farm doe that was similarly bred, and she was really productive. And I had an Isaiah's Fire daughter that did a good job.
I really don't know much about this buck, but Greg Tate out in Indiana, he thinks a lot of him. He told me that he really likes the way those kids are looking and their rate of gain. They have a great average daily gain.
Okay. Lot 15. Lot 15 is 2 straws of SSK Warhorse stored at Bonanza. Warhorse is a Cherokee Fiddler son by a D12 daughter, which is out of Iron Horse and Skybird Salsa. And if you've watched any of these or went back and watched any of these, you've heard us talk about Skybird Salsa P6. I think you even heard Sky Shiver talk about how instrumental she was in a doe making good stock. So the D12 there over Cherokee Fiddler.
I saw this buck while he was still alive. He is a super wide, straight bodied, spring of rib, just really everything you'd look for in a buck. And I actually owned one of his daughters at one time, but going over to Wayne's and helping him with his herd times, a lot of those Warhorse daughters, they're just great on maternals, and their bags are pretty good, and dry up nice and tight. And he's just another one of them big old thick bucks.
Seems like Cherokee Fiddler through that two-tone color and that body. That buck's in that picture. He's got some bone and just thick all the way through. But I think his
Yeah, I've got.
strong
Go
side,
ahead,
the
Kevin.
bottom side. That bottom side's hard to beat with that Skybird salsa in it.
I've got some Warhorse
D12's one of
daughters.
Wayne's favorite does.
Yep, sure is. I've got some Warhorse daughters. I really like them. I'd love if one of them would ever give me a buck kid to keep back and see what he does. But I can't complain about him having doe kids either. So I really like the Warhorse stuff that I've got at home.
All right, moving on to lot 16. Lot 16 is 2 straws of TBR Resistol stored at Smart Reproduction in Jonesboro, Arkansas. Resistol has good structure, parasite resistance, and outstanding performance. Tested genetics. He was 3rd lowest fecal and 7th overall in the 2015 Maryland Buck Test. Resistol served the number 1 and number 2 overall bucks in the 2018 West Virginia Buck Test. He was the top-selling buck at the 2016 BPI Bluegrass Performance Invitational Sale.
It's a good-looking buck. That's an older picture of him after he messed his leg up. But that buck always packed flesh and meat, and done well for Troy. Um, it's one of those Maryland tested bucks that's getting hard to find anymore.
Yep.
The semen on this buck is also really hard to get a hold of. You know, Troy had it so easily available for so long, but not anymore. So I know there's a lot of people looking to find this semen. So here's you an opportunity to get a hold of it. I got a Resistol Sun that I used pretty extensively this last year. I got a bunch of kids on the ground out of him, and I tell you, when you pick one of them kids up to tag it, they just feel a little different. There's just a little more to them, even right when they come out. So I really like what I'm seeing so far out of my Resistol little grandkids. So here's your chance if you've been looking for it.
I believe that Dennis Higgins borrowed Resistol one breeding season, and he has a bunch of those that he's enjoying the kid crop that Resistol produced for him, and he saved back a bunch of daughters, and he's talking about their offspring. So I think he's definitely something to add to your herd.
Okay. Moving on to lot 17. Lot 17 is 2 straws of CLP Raging Rivers Generator 243. They are stored at Bonanza. A picture of Raging River Generator 243. Pedigree and you guys might help me because I'm figuring something out, and a lot of times it takes me a long time to figure something out. But this is a generator son over a sports cat again. Didn't we just see a buck in there that was generator over sports cat kind of bred that was kind of built stocky in the same way?
High voltage.
Yeah, there you go. Maybe it was high voltage. Maybe it was him. But anyway,
you might be thinking about the Blue Samson buck. That was it had sports cat on the bottom side. I think that's the only sports cat we've talked about today. But you can see a little similarity there.
I think you're right.
I know that Curtis had this buck and got some really nice daughters out of him. I've got some of this in my tank that I intend on using. When you look at him, I don't know there's not to like about the buck. Deep bodied, it just looks like he's carrying a lot of muscle. You really can't see that front end on him, but I know that it's there. Plenty adequate on his bone, big chest on him. Just I don't know what's not to like about looking at the buck, and then you throw that sports cat in on the bottom side, and bingo.
Yeah, he's a nice buck. I just like how deep and meaty and fleshy he is. Of course, I like that color too. Can't beat that white color. It's hard to find. The sports cat stuff's getting really hard to find, and Generator's been selling extremely well. Straws have been, and I just got to take my dog. And so I think this buck it'd be good to have in the tank. And get it in the field as fast as you can, because they come out looking like him, you'll be ahead of the game, I believe.
Yeah, generator is getting scarce and getting high for that reason. I think the last 2 straws brought close to 4,000 or 4,000. It was so here's your chance to get a great son over a sports cat on the bottom side. Okay. Moving on to lot 18. Hey, we can flip over and watch Kendall get eat up. Let him back in there. I'm gonna
This
flip
is
it
every
over.
night. Every night they like to jump in my lap and fight.
Yeah, I was trying to catch him on there. Lot 18 is 2 straws of TTP Golden Hammer stored at Bonanza. TTP Golden Hammer is of a Titans Hammer son over LGB Shocker doe. I think Amy Vandehee had this buck at one point. Is that right? Got from
She had him. He Andy or Amy Vandehei had him for a number of years, and he actually just passed away. It was a freak accident. So this will probably be one of the last opportunities to ever get straws out of this buck. I saw this buck in person when he was probably within the last few months of his life. Of course, it was during breeding season, so buck's in rut, and he's only worried about one thing. But you could definitely tell that he had a large frame on him. Pretty nice, well built buck.
Yeah, I know that Eric and Amy, they hated to lose him, and they used him a lot, and they've got a lot of daughters back in the herd. If I remember correctly, he crossed really well over some of their does that had Blue Sun up pretty close. So that's something to think about. I've got some of these genetics at my house that are working well. But I don't think I would be wrong in saying that this is a doe producer big time right here. So it's, hammer over a bunch of golden boy blood on the bottom side. So it's just a really nice buck.
Well, I could be mistaken, but I think one of his sons did. Was he number 1, number 2 down at Oklahoma? 3 years ago, 4 years ago?
I think it was 2022. They won the Herdsman Award with a pair of Golden Hammer sons.
That's what I was thinking. So he's performance tested as well, or his offspring is.
Kendall.
It's a good looking buck too.
I think the hammer line has been proven throughout to do a good job for resistance and performance. So a good opportunity here. We do have a potential trade happening online. Yep. Dana says she'll trade Cooper Chinook right now for the baby. Cooper, you want to make a trade?
Chinook's getting too old. I still got a lot of seasons left with this one.
Exactly. All right. So moving on, lot 19. Lot 19 is 2 straws of JMI Psycho Hillbilly Turnpike stored at SEK or in the owner's personal tank. Again, Joseph's willing to meet you at one of the major sales. You can see that information online. Turnpike is a son of Kraken, who we saw just earlier in the catalog. He was my choice to replace Kraken when he died. So far, he's very happy with his kids. His dam, J10, Mary Red's her call name, is one of my best does who produces some of my best kids. I thought highly enough of this doe to use her in a flush. So, Turnpike.
This buck has been. He does. Well, this buck's been real fun to watch grow up. Joseph and I took him out to the West Virginia test. What was it, 2 years ago, 3 years ago? I lose track of time. I'm old. But so seeing him go out there is, 100 days old, 90 days old. Seeing him come off the West Virginia test. But then I've been out. Joseph's like my neighbor. He's only 2 hours away. So I've seen this buck grow up, and he has really grown into himself. That joker's got a nice wide chest on him. He's solid. He's straight. He's deep. He's tough as nails. I'll definitely give you that too. You couldn't go wrong getting a buck like this.
Just for the name. A name like that.
Yeah, Turnpike.
If I correctly, if I remember correctly, Joseph brought a doe that had a turnpike kid on its side to one of the Oklahoma sales several years ago, and you want to talk about a really nice looking kid that doe was carrying with her. It's one of those you walk through the barn. I want to go look at that one again. Uh, really nice kid, and I know, like Bill said, this buck's going to be really tough. So it's working out really well for Joseph. It's probably going to work out well for you.
All right, that's Turnpike. Moving on to lot 20. We have 2 straws of TMK Boss's Sport stored at Bonanza. Boss's Sport is an imprint son over a Hanky Panky Y266 daughter that the McGills, I think, flushed. Um, Again, I've got, I think it was a belly mate to Boss, Callie here, and she's done a fabulous job for me as a doe. And I do have some of Boss in the tank for that reason.
I had a Boss's Sport daughter. Oh, go ahead, Cooper.
Go ahead. No, you go ahead, Bill. Go.
Oh, I was just going to say I had a Boss's Sport daughter. She lived here for a number of years. She actually passed away in a freak accident, storms, tree. She didn't, but whatever. She's tough as nails. But kind of the funny thing about her, tell you how tough that doe was. She was at Cooper's sale, at the Oklahoma Hills sale of, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago. Got dropped off on a Thursday, immediately decided to jump the pins, ran around all over Okmulgee. They created a website for her. She ran around, finally found her Sunday, and still didn't have to do anything to her. I brought her home for Joe Benson, and then I called Joe after a couple of weeks, and it's like, well, just give me a price because you're not getting her back. And she ended up living here, and I still have some of that doe's daughters and even her granddaughters kidded for me this year. Boss of Sport, he has a pretty tough line. And then I've got a Boss of Sport granddaughter that I actually flushed with Blackhawk this year. So she's the same one I AI'd last year. So Boss of Sport, his line, it'll cross with about anything. Make you some good kids.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with what Bill said there. I used to talk to Joe Benson a lot, and he would send me pictures all the time of his Boss Sport daughters, and they're just the right kind of goat. And there's Boss Sport daughters all over the country, which should tell you that they're able to thrive in a lot of different environments. So they're kind of short, squatty built does, extremely good bags on them, and just great mamas. So a good chance here.
Agree. Moving on to, I think it's lot 21. Yes, it's lot 21. Lot 21 is 2 straws of CLP Raging River ACA. ACA is a super Sky's S408 Super's Cat over a 409 Zenith Sky Zenith doe. I'm sure I butchered that, but we'll look at it, see how bad we did. Ken, I know you.
I got this thing from.
Yeah, go ahead.
I got it from Mr. Knight, Brett
Yep.
Knight.
Yeah, Brett Knight.
He always called him Grandpa or something like that. And
Yeah, I think you're right.
yeah, I got him back. I got him from him when he sold out and he had some semen. Like I said, that sports cat's getting hard to find, and I just thought it would be a good to have in the tank. And I like the way that buck was built. Looked like he was pretty deep, and, depth of body and barrel shape to me. So I figured I'd get some. Got it at a decent deal and multiple straws. So I figured I'd throw a couple in this sale for Shan.
Yeah, if you're looking for sports cat genetics, uh, the closest you're going to get is a grandchild or grandkid. So here's here's the opportunity. Uh, you're not going to find semen off of a sports cat son very often whatsoever. So good chance here.
Lot 22. Lot 22 is two straws of BWP Speckles 122 boy, stored at B and D Genetics, and I think we just had some of this sale, if I remember right, and it went pretty good. Mr. Speckles' son, over a copyright tough daughter. Kendall, you know about it? Was this a Jim and Angie Lou's buck that they
I
had?
I think what we sold something in Weber sale. It was a speckled son, I thought, but I don't remember what the bottom. I can't remember what the bottom side was.
I could be wrong.
But this is kind of a cross up of all West's good crawl. I mean, you got speckles over tough. I believe that Molly doe was a
Yeah.
keeper doe. So I mean, Wes had really good luck with the keeper does that he kept, and then everybody knows Tough and Mr. Speckles, and so in this buck here, you got all that, all that in one package. It looks like to me.
I agree.
Speckles semen selling extremely high. Tough semen has been getting hard to get, so everybody knows keeper semen is almost impossible to get. So got a lot of solid herd sires in this buck.
Wes did a lot with that tough over keeper. It worked really well for him. All right, moving on to lot 23. Lot 23 is two straws of SRK Biloxi Blue stored at B&D Genetics. Biloxi Blue was produced at Rittenhouse Kikos by Sandy Rittenhouse and the late Mary McDonald. He's the son of BBM Hanky Panky's Y266. 266 has documented success, including siring the top gaining buck at the 2010 Western Illinois University Buck Performance Feed Test, and his sons took honors at the most parasite-resistant buck in the 2012 Oklahoma Buck Performance Test. So, two straws of SRK Biloxi Blue.
I've never had any hanky panky or rusty genetics up close, but there's something about this buck that catches my eye. Can't I mean he's looks pretty fleshy in the front end, and back end doesn't look too bad either. Um, might be one kind of a sleeper in the sale. Like I said, there's been several bucks that I didn't know there was semen on in the sale. And this one I've seen for sale one other time, so it's kind of interesting.
Cooper, Bill?
Yeah, I agree with you, Kendall. I'm not just super familiar genetically. I mean, I know what they are, but I don't have hands-on experience with it. But when you look at that buck, I mean, it's just a good-looking rascal. He really is. So I agree with you in saying this might be a sleeper here. So don't let it slip past you. Might catch a really good deal on a really good.
Okay. Moving on to lot 24. Lot 24 is two straws of MCR Pablo, stored at Bonanza. He sired the 2022 10th place ADG in the West Virginia Buck Test. His sire Outlaw needs no introduction, of course, for some trivia about Pablo. His dam, AFS Haberhashers Farms Daphne, is also the dam of Judge, a buck that his daughters. Which Haber's a buck that has daughters on many farms. I'm sorry. So two straws of Pablo.
This buck I bought him young. He was actually part of a flush project too that Brent did. I bought him off Brent's farm, and he lived here a number of years. I still have some Pablo daughters. They do make fast growing kids pretty hands off. I think he was like right around a 200 pound, 190 pound buck. He's not a huge buck, but his offspring, you put him with the right does, and it, you can definitely get some big stuff out of it. You know, he followed that. His daddy Outlaw himself wasn't a big buck, but he sure was a meat wagon. You know, he was all muscle.
Okay. Moving on to lot 25. Oh, just real quick. We was talking about Biloxi Blue being a sleeper. Joseph Miles said he had an old sister of Biloxi's Blue, and she died of an old age on her farm. So for her to stay there, she did a good job. Lot 25. Lot 25 is 2 straws of CGI Spitfire stored at Bonanza. Spitfire was, of course, a rusty son over a Pango Hugh daughter, Breeze. Brian Graves had this stove for quite some time, I guess until he died on his farm, if I remember correctly. I don't remember what happened, but I think Brian had him when he passed.
But though in the bottom side, Alice, that's one that Dr. Dave used to tell stories about. Um, Eating off a flatbed truck. I saw her years ago. She's in June's pedigree too. So I remember when that breeding pair got. Remember the deal? Um, they sent Alice out to John Smith and got her bred to Pango. So it's kind of neat to see it's still about. And Rusty's been selling pretty good semen wise. So it's kind of neat seeing that buck out there.
I had a Spitfire daughter here that was actually a really good doe. She lived to an old age, was good in size, and raised really good kids. Bought her also of Judy Carter. Go to lot 26. 26 is 2 straws of GHK Echo stored at Bonanza. Echo is a fiddler son that we talked about a little bit earlier. It's a double lover boy bred. If you look at the pedigree here, fiddler over a lover boy daughter.
The other picture of him, boy, he looked thick.
He was. Um, I've seen a lot of Echo daughters at JD's farm, and they're some of his nicest does. Um, they're they produce. Obviously, you got the lover boy in there. You're going to get some fast growth out of that, but it's not all just frame that they're growing either. They're growing a lot of body capacity in there. They're just extremely good mamas. Um, you know, line bred lover boy. So you're going to get growth. You're going to get excellent maternals out of that. Um, Echo Echo's a good buck.
Okay. Moving on to lot 27. We talked about this guy a little bit earlier, so a whole lot more we can say. It's 2 straws of CVK Ryback stored at B&D Genetics. Again, he's a son of Lynn 8 and the famous ABG June. See his information there online, more about his bucks that placed in the test. Lynn 8 over ABG June. Moving on to lot 28. Lot 28 is 2 straws of TMK Terminator's bodacious, stored at Bonanza. This is a Terminator 3 son over an Iron Horse daughter, GHK X71. I'm not familiar with this buck.
I saw this buck. He lived out there at Wayne's. Bodacious, Warhorse, and Pirate King. That was Wayne's lineup for years and years. Bodacious, he lived a long age and he passed away at Wayne's. I had a daughter of Bodacious, and I saw this buck, but a ways you couldn't see him close. He is always a big, thick, meaty, nice spring rib buck, but I owned one of his daughters, and she was great on maternals, and then we even kept one of her daughters back, and she also had that same maternal. Great parasite resistant, great feet, good udders, nice chest, nice meaty.
As long as I've been in it, was really isn't that long, but this is the first time I can remember it being publicly offered, this bodacious semen. If I remember right, talking to Wayne, one thing that he really liked about the bodacious kids is that, one, they're really tough, but they still have really good growth on them. But like I said earlier, they're not just growing frame. They put a lot of body on those kids. When you take them to the sale barn, you're getting the grade 1 prices out of them. So really all around nice buck here. And like I said, I don't know that this has been publicly offered in maybe ever, but dang sure not in the last 5 or 6 years that I'm aware of.
And me either. I don't recall. That's the reason I said I'm not familiar with it. So, okay. Just taking a moment here while I do the transition. Going back to Echo, I'll post a comment there online. You were right, Cooper. JD did say I still have many still performing on my farm from out of Echo. Moving on to lot 29. 29 is 2 straws of DRZ Willie stored at Bonanza. Willie is a butterscotch son. He's actually double golden boy bred out of a stud muffin on the bottom and Carmel's streak. Double golden boy bred here. I did use cinnamon toast myself, and it is representative of the picture of Willie. You get a lot of meat and width with that cross.
It's thick.
Andy, is that red? Is that gold load buck?
Yep,
that
gold
you
load.
got?
Yes, sir. Gold load is out of cinnamon toast.
You look at the picture of this buck. I don't know what's not to like. I mean, great confirmation on him and his kids, and just absolute meat wagon of a buck. So
yeah, he's a nice one. Got good bone, thick.
Yep.
Looks decently long. Got a heck of a neck on him.
Got that
Meat in the rear end.
Yep, and just a natural wide stance. You can take that. I mean, you can, trying to take photos and getting them wide. You can tell when they're just standing wide there and naturally relaxed, and it's the posture that they travel with. Moving on to lot 30. Make sure I'm right here. 29 and 30. 30 is SSK Blues Iron stored, 2 straws of SSK Blues Iron stored at Bonanza, SEK or Flying Cow.
Just the flush mate or the litter mate to your buck?
It's the flush mate to Street Smart.
I was thinking.
And Wayne's
And then also Wayne,
Blue Eagle.
yeah, Wayne's Blue Eagle. There's
I've
another
got
brother in Florida. I don't recall who owns him.
I've got a daughter of this buck that I got from Eric and Amy, and I think she's 3 or 4, and she's very quickly turning into one of my favorite does on the farm. I just really like her. She's a little meat wagon. Kendall would say, "Yeah, that's my kind." Looking at him, just a little short bodied, real thick, and you want to talk about a mama. So just like we talked about earlier when we talked about the street smart buck, this is another. I mean, it's the same thing, different color. So bid with confidence.
Looks consistent. Both those bucks look similar build. So what you like to see in the goat world. When you're trying to breed, you want to get it consistent as possible.
Moving to lot 31. Lot 31 is 2 straws of Artemis. Webb Artemis is litter mate twin to Webb Devil's Cut, who was the #1 in OEC buck test. I don't know what year. I missed that there. This is stored in the owner's tank, and the owners are willing to meet up at New Green Country Spotlight MPI, or actually just meet the buyer somewhere on the road. So this is 2 straws of Webb Artemis. He's got a CBK Stag and a Hoosier Hammer Doe.
Yeah, looking at the buck, it kind of just reminds me of Weber in general.
Yes, I agree.
Pretty cool looking buck, no doubt about that.
There's a lot
Looks
like
like he's got a
Stag.
nice front end on him.
Stag's got Stag was out of Dominator in June 2, so June 2's the continuation of the June line. I just lost her this year, and then with Dominator you had Ginger. So on the top side, you're combining what I feel is my best doe line and what Weber uh, says is his best doe line. So, and then you still got Hoosier Hammer on the bottom, and then Maker's Mark doe, that Trixie doe. I seen her when we was out at Weber's this winter, and she was a very, very large doe. Kind of neat. See all those bloodlines crossed into that buck.
My bad. I've got ahead. I'm sorry. Moving on to lot 32. Webb, 2 straws of Webb Ajax. Webb Ajax was the #2 overall in West Virginia Buck Test 21. Again, stored in the owner's tank. We'll deliver to the 3 main sales there, and or meet you on the road. So, Webb Ajax, 2 straws. Out of Dominator and a Ringo daughter, and Webb Miranda.
I've never seen this buck in person, but they say he is an absolute beast of a buck. They say he is huge.
I was trying to remember.
Along with,
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, along with Ginger, Miranda was one of Weber's favorite does
Mm-hmm.
as well. Miranda and Mariah and Ginger, that was like his 3 favorite.
A good opportunity here, I think. And I think this is the first offer, and I don't know. I think James was telling
It
me.
is.
Yeah, this is the first offering, and
Yeah, he's not offered any of these 4 bucks, and he probably won't again. He's just doing it for this benefit sale.
yes, sir. Quite awesome. Moving on to lot 33. 33 is Webb Genesis. MCT. I'm sorry. I'm looking at an old screen. It is MCT Genesis Genesis was the number 3 overall in West Virginia, 24. This is, and I want to make sure so that I state this clearly because James wants them to be assured on this. This buck has been collected, and the buck is stored at the vet that collected it. He just doesn't have it in his tank yet, and he's next trip down there. He's going to get that semen, put it in his tank, and again he's going to coordinate with you and meet up with you and get the straws to you if you're the winner on this lot. So 2 straws of MCT Genesis. That's a Webb Ajax buck out of Copyrights Tough. Lot 33.
Chance to get a young tested buck with a solid pedigree. May turn out. I mean, later on he may be one everybody's after. Get a chance to get it before he gets hot, I guess you could say. But he's got a solid pedigree. He's out of that Ajax buck and got Tough in there and Speckles. So solid pedigree on a solid buck.
Agree. And hopefully people are listening online. I mean, to Kendall's point, this is a chance to get in early, and that's where a lot of people don't want to take that opportunity. And if the straws are offered early on a buck, and you get them early in the buck, and he's stacked to do it, turns out it's going to be a great buy for you. I think Bill froze on us. May have to finish without him. Cooper, you good?
Yep, I can hear you.
Am I not there?
Your audio
Yep, you're
is,
We're here.
but you've got a bottle turned up and you're not putting it down. We'll
That's not water either.
Slovakia. We
Yeah,
can we can hear you, Bill. So just talk it. We only got this last lot here, so if you don't care, just talk on through with us. So moving on to lot 34. This is the last lot. I have saw this buck. Was quite impressed with him. This lot 34 is 2 straws of CVK. Yeah, you're back. 2 straws of CVK Stacking Bricks. Stacking Brick was the number 2 overall in the 22 West Virginia buck test. Again, this is stored in the owner's tank, and they will deliver or meet up with you somewhere. Looking at his pedigree, Stacking Bricks is out of Mizo, West Virginia 20, and a generator daughter. I remember when Kendall did that generator to June 2. That was the only doe you got out of it?
Well, there was 2, but one died of listeria, young. But that's 3 generations of West Virginia test bucks. Chinook was, like you can tell him his name is 18. He was 13th overall, but a top 10 ADG. And then Mezzo won it in 20. And then Mezzo produced the number 2 and the number 8 the year that Bricks was the number 2. And he was number 2 to a Chinook son, that Hulk that Jared Dennison had. So this buck's also double bred June, because Chinook's out, or double bred June too. Just not tight as what I usually do. One of those bucks I kind of wish I never sold, but
He is fertile.
Yeah, he is fertile. I've offered to. I told James if he ever goes to get rid of him, I'd like to get him back, but I've already got a pre-bid on this semen, so everybody be aware that I'm after it. I've got a buck out there right now. It looks just about like Bricks, except he's got white socks on him. He's double bred mezzo, so he's born right on the cusp of cutoff. So I don't know if I'll get to test him or not.
All right. I think that's it. Yeah, that's the last lot. starts. Bill, help me here. I'm out of sorts. It starts June the 4th at 6 p.m.
Correct. June the 4th, Friday, and then
No,
it goes through
hold up.
Saturday.
Hold up. I said
April
June.
8th, June.
Yeah.
Oh
I'm thinking
yeah,
June.
no,
April.
this month, April,
Yeah.
4 days.
I told you I was out of sorts. So yeah, it starts April the 4th at 6
He
p.m.
went back to work. Can't
Yeah.
keep up with what day it is.
I can't keep up with everything. I really
Yeah.
can't. Paige is pulling up slack everywhere. Just want to take a note here. On the Facebook social, people can see those comments, but we never know what situation God will put us in, or where we'll be. Josh Lappin rang in here and posted online about how thankful he was and how grateful and what it meant to him for the Kiko community pulling together and helping him when he was down. And just so you know, Chan did too. It cuts it off at 160 characters, but she said that she wanted to express how thankful that they were to be part of the Kiko community, and want to thank everyone for providing the lots and consigning it, and the organizers for making this happen. So, in that note, when you're bidding, just know that you're getting 2 times your money. You're bidding to get some great Kiko genetics, and that bid is also going to help Chan during this time of struggle in her family. So know it's money that you can look at as being double spent, twice your money. Bill, you want to say anything else?
Well, definitely, a huge thanks to everyone that put straws in this. This came together pretty quick. She had surgery the 1st of March. Here we are 3 weeks later. We're doing a live stream, getting ready to do this. So a huge thanks to everyone that put straws in. I also have to say there's a lot of people that wanted to donate, and we trying to limit it to so many straws, but thanks to all those folks that wanted to donate that we just had to turn away. Kiko World, it is a huge family, and I think that sometimes we need to remember that we're family. We might not like all of our cousins, but by golly, we all got to sit down at Thanksgiving table, and this is a great way to come together and do that.
Agree.
Yeah, I've been involved in a lot of different livestock communities, and the Kiko folks are by far the most inclusive and just generous and loving group of people that I've ever been around. So everybody that donated and everybody that's going to bid, you're good people, and we're helping out another good person. So,
All righty.
Andy, we might just remind everyone again that 100% of these proceeds is going to go to Chan and her family. Shouldn't call them consigners, the donators, the people who made these donations. We're not getting anything, and you volunteered your time, so 100% of this is going to the Foreman family during her time of need.
Yes. All right. Mike Renick just rung in, so I think the support will be pouring out. And again, look at this as it's going to be competitive because it's there to support Chan. So Mike Renick's done put all his pre-bids in on his lots, and also because there's some really great lots out here, and chances on some stuff that you might not see in a normal sale. So as Kendall mentioned earlier. Again, and you see Joseph wanting to thank everybody too. So it's going to be a great